Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946. He was born and raised in Queens, New York City. Trump is the fourth of 5 children. His father, Fred Trump, was a real estate developer. Donald Trump attended the New York Military Academy. He later studied at Fordham University and then transferred to the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. Trump graduated from the Wharton School with a Bachelor of Science degree in economics. He worked for his father's real estate company, Elizabeth Trump & Son, while still in college. Trump received a medical deferment from the Vietnam War draft due to bone spurs in his heels. In 1971, he became president of his father's company, which he later renamed the Trump Organization. Trump married Ivana Trump in 1977, and they had 3 children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric. The couple divorced in 1990. He married Marla Maples in 1993, and they had 1 child, Tiffany. Trump and Maples divorced in 1999. He married Melania Naus in 2005, and they have 1 son, Barron. Donald Trump has been involved in various business ventures, including real estate, casinos, and entertainment. Trump Tower in New York City is one of his most iconic properties. He hosted the reality TV show The Apprentice from 2004 to 2015. Trump has written several books, including The Art of the Deal and Crippled America. In 2016, he won the Republican nomination for President of the United States. He chose Mike Pence as his running mate. Trump won the 2016 presidential election against Hillary Clinton. He was inaugurated as the 45th President of the United States on January 20, 2017. Trump's campaign slogan was, "Make America Great Again," MAGA. He signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act into law in 2017. The Trump administration imposed tariffs on imported goods, particularly from China. The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, replaced NAFTA during his presidency. Trump withdrew the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP. He withdrew from the Paris Agreement on climate change. He met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Helsinki in 2018, sparking controversy. The Trump administration implemented a travel ban on several predominantly Muslim countries. Trump's presidency saw significant turnover in key positions, including multiple changes in the role of Chief of Staff. The Trump administration played a role in brokering diplomatic relations between Israel and some Arab nations, known as the Abraham Accords. Trump signed the First Step Act, a criminal justice reform bill, into law in 2018. He declared a national emergency in 2019 to secure funding for a border wall. Trump faced impeachment by the House of Representatives in 2019 over dealings with Ukraine, but was acquitted by the Senate. The Trump administration imposed sanctions on Venezuela, targeting the government of Nicolás Maduro. The Mueller report, released in 2019, investigated Russian interference in the 2016 election, but did not establish collusion with the Trump campaign. Trump's administration supported the expansion of opportunity zones to encourage investment in economically distressed areas. Trump's use of Twitter during his presidency was a subject of widespread discussion and controversy. The Trump administration implemented changes to environmental policies, including rolling back some regulations. The White House Coronavirus Task Force was established in response to the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020. Trump signed the CARES Act in March 2020, providing economic relief amid the pandemic. He tested positive for COVID-19 in October 2020 and was briefly hospitalized. Trump criticized the World Health Organization, WHO, and withdrew the U.S. from the organization. The Trump administration launched Operation Warp Speed to accelerate the development of COVID-19 vaccines. He faced criticism for his response to racial unrest and protests following the death of George Floyd in 2020. Trump signed the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021 into law despite expressing opposition to certain provisions. The Trump administration brokered economic normalization agreements between Israel and Bahrain and Israel and the United Arab Emirates. Trump withdrew from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces (INF) treaty with Russia. The U.S. Space Force was established as a separate branch of the military during his presidency. Trump's leadership style and communication were characterized by a direct and unfiltered approach. He frequently referred to unfavorable news coverage as fake news. Trump appointed Betsy DeVos as Secretary of Education and Ben Carson as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. The Trump administration implemented a zero-tolerance policy for illegal border crossings, leading to family separations. Trump faced legal challenges related to his businesses, including investigations into his tax returns. He was impeached by the House of Representatives for a second time in 2021, charged with incitement of insurrection following the Capitol riot. Trump's legal team argued that the impeachment trial was unconstitutional since he was no longer in office. The Senate acquitted Trump in his second impeachment trial. The Trump administration pursued deregulation efforts across various industries. Trump's use of executive orders to enact policy changes was a notable aspect of his presidency. Trump appointed Jerome Powell as chairman of the Federal Reserve. He expressed skepticism about the effectiveness of NATO and called for increased defense spending by member countries. The Trump administration implemented sanctions on Chinese companies, particularly in the technology sector. The Trump administration initiated negotiations for a peace agreement between Israel and the Taliban. Trump expressed interest in purchasing Greenland, a territory of Denmark, but the idea was met with resistance. The United States-Taliban agreement was signed in 2020, outlining the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. Trump faced criticism for his response to white supremacist violence in Charlottesville in 2017. He withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal, officially known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. Trump nominated William Barr as Attorney General, and Barr served 2 non-consecutive terms, previously serving in the role during the George H.W. Bush administration. The Trump administration faced criticism for its handling of the Puerto Rico hurricane recovery efforts, particularly after Hurricane Maria in 2017. The Trump administration initiated Operation Gideon, a failed attempt to overthrow the government of Venezuela. He engaged in high-profile negotiations with North Korea, including 2 summits with Kim Jong-un in 2018 and 2019, but no comprehensive deal was reached. Trump appointed Scott Pruitt as the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, but Pruitt resigned amid controversies over ethics and spending. Trump's approach to foreign policy often emphasized an America First stance, focusing on national interests. The Trump administration established the United States Space Command, a unified combatant command for space operations. The Trump administration brokered economic normalization agreements between Israel and Sudan. Trump nominated and appointed 3 Supreme Court justices during his presidency: Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. The Trump administration launched the Women's Global Development and Prosperity WGDP initiative, focusing on women's economic empowerment. Trump's administration implemented the Remain in Mexico policy, officially known as the Migrant Protection Protocols, requiring asylum seekers to wait in Mexico during the processing of their cases. He signed the Taxpayer First Act into law, focusing on reforming the Internal Revenue Service, IRS. Trump signed the First Step Act into law, a bipartisan criminal justice reform bill aimed at reducing recidivism and improving prison conditions. The Trump administration implemented tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, citing national security concerns. He withdrew from the United Nations Human Rights Council, criticizing its membership and alleged bias against Israel. Trump's administration rolled back regulations related to clean water and air, arguing for a reduction in bureaucratic red tape. He signed an executive order in 2019 aimed at promoting free speech on college campuses. Trump faced criticism for his response to the COVID-19 pandemic, with some arguing for a more coordinated federal approach. He withdrew the United States from the World Health Organization, WHO, during the COVID-19 pandemic, citing concerns about the organization's handling of the crisis. The Trump administration signed the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, into law, replacing the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA. Trump's presidency saw increased tensions with China, particularly in trade relations and technological competition. He nominated Gina Haspel as the first female director of the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. The Trump administration implemented a policy of maximum pressure on Iran, including withdrawing from the Iran nuclear deal and reimposing sanctions. Trump faced criticism for his response to the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in 2018. After leaving office, Trump continued to play a prominent role in Republican politics, maintaining influence within the party. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated.